CDC's vaccine advisory panel has voted to push back the recommendation for what is called the MMRV vaccine to 4 years old.
Now, MMRV stands for measles, mumps, rubella, and varicella, which is chickenpox. The panel voted 8-3 that MMRV should not be recommended for children younger than 4.
In another motion, the panel voted that children under 4 can still get the MMRV shot under the Vaccines for Children federal program. 12 months is typically the age where children get the MMRV shot. The chair of the CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, Martin Koldorf, said at the start of the meeting, quote, "We are currently experiencing heated controversies about vaccines, and a key question is, who can you trust? Here's my advice. When there are different scientific views, only trust scientists who are willing to engage with and publicly debate the scientists with other views." The main argument for raising the age seemed to be over the increased risk of febrile seizures linked to the vaccines. While they are common and for the most part don't cause long-term effects, panel members said that the seizures can be traumatic for parents, I would think so, and that raising the age lowers the risk.
Now, other experts expressed concern, however. President of the American College of Physicians, Jason Goldman, said, quote, "When you make this recommendation, you now give license to insurance companies and the Vaccine for Children program not to cover this vaccine. And finally, you're taking away the choice of parents to have informed consent and discussion with their physician on what they want to do for the health and benefit of their children." Cody Messner, one of the panelists who voted no, said that the vaccine rates would drop as a result.
All right, so I think it is important to clarify what exactly the guidance is, which is that previously the MMRV, or the combined shot for chickenpox, measles, mumps, and rubella, was recommended for children under the age of 4. However, according to DCNF, Daily Caller News Foundation investigative reporter Emily Kopp, 85% of parents already opted to separate the shots. So basically the guidance is now that if your child is under 4, if you want to give this to an infant, then you would give them the MMR and the chickenpox separately as opposed to the combined shot. So really it's not recommending that children don't get it, but it's saying that they should do the separate shots because of the increased risk for fevers and febrile seizures from the combined shot for children under 4. So I think it's being really hyped up as this massive change when really it's what most parents were doing anyway.
I think when you watch this week on Capitol Hill, Susan Monterez, who was the 29-day director of the CDC there, completely disagree with everything that RFK said. We can't even figure out why she left the organization because we're hearing two totally different stories. The overall confusion and chaos that I'm seeing come out, I guess starting from the top with RFK, is concerning because as a parent and as somebody, an American who just wants to understand what we should do, get the right guidance, and coming off the heels of COVID where people already are critical of the CDC, I think, we're sowing in this mainstay of distrust within organizations that are supposed to guide us and tell us just exactly what we should be doing. And more parents, like several studies have shown that more parents are opting out of the vaccine, and not in a way that, it's optional, in a way that they're saying religious reasons, citing other things like that, or health reasons why their kid can't get these vaccines. And then we saw 2 cases of kids dying because they weren't vaccinated, school-age kids in Texas just this year, of measles, something that was largely eradicated. So I think first comes confusion, and then parents trying to make their best independent choices, which I totally support, but I think it has to come from science and information. And that seemed to be the main concern of Susan Monterez on Capitol Hill this week. And so as a parent and as an American who is trying to follow guidelines of supposed to be our top trusted experts, this is just, to me, a scary time to be in, where we're getting confusing messages constantly.
I agree that COVID was obviously a really difficult time in terms of public trust and that public health bureaucracy because of how many mistakes were made. And that's why it's so important for RFK to get this right and to make sure that the right people are in to restore public trust. And in regards to the measles vaccine, again, I think it is really important to note that I actually think it was the media coverage that gave people the wrong impression about what exactly was happening here. All of the headlines suggested that he was just not recommending the shot for children under 4 at all, when the reality was he was recommending that they separate out the shots to reduce that risk of febrile seizures, which to me seems entirely responsible and actually in response to the science, right? They studied this. They found that there was this massive increased risk. If you look at the charts, the spike is quite insane, and said, okay, well, there's a way we can make sure that children are prevented from getting measles, mumps, and rubella and chickenpox. but in a way that makes sure that they don't have these massive side effects too.
Yeah, now school's in effect. We're going to be talking about this endlessly, I'm sure, for the school year.
Up next, former Vice President Kamala Harris has revealed who would have been her first pick to be her running mate in 2024, and it wasn't Governor Tim Walz. Stick around.